what's this, Monday? This is October the 5th, ladies and gentlemen. This is our 4th edition. We appreciate you tuning in. And man, do we have something to talk about today, Christian? We got some stuff for them, don't we?
Yeah, man, we got a good show. We got a lot of things we got to talk about. We try to condense it tonight and not keep people too long, but yeah, we certainly got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we got to squeeze this all the way down to the hour, so we're gonna squeeze this like I don't know what, but it's important that we talk about these things. It's important that we get people acclimated to listening to politics and social issues and history, as opposed to just the other thing that's going on in the world. It's important that we get people activated to go out and vote in this election. I know every 4 years we say it's the most important election of the time. It seems like every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
I hear it, but I haven't believed it for the last couple of elections. But this one,
I don't believe it at all.
I believe this is the most important one in I don't even know how long. The lines are drawn so much when it comes to what people want to do. The Democrats, Republicans have done an excellent job of polarizing us as American citizens and making think if you're a member of the Democratic Party, you can only like Democratic stuff. If you like anything Republican, you're a sellout. And the Republican Party do the same thing. You can only like Republican stuff. If you like anything the Democrat Party, you're a sellout. You're a rhino. Republican name only. You're not really a Republican if you like some Democrat type stuff, because there's no way that you could actually think that another party could think of anything that's any good.
Right.
And that's where we are right now. And that is absolutely sick and ridiculous. And I say that's shame on the parties, Democrats and Republicans, and that's shame on the American people for allowing that mindset to spread,
because they make up the parties. The people make up the parties.
For you to suggest stupid stuff like that.
You got the big wigs and the establishment folks of both parties who will only push the information that the people approve.
Yeah. And it's a doggone thing.
So as long as the people are approving it, as long as the people are with it, as long as they feel that way, then that's what the establishment on both sides, that's what they're going to push.
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, call-in number if you want to be a part of the show is 904-515-3733, 904-515-3733. Again, this is Black Code Red. I'm the Sojourner, and you are listening to Christian Whitfield on the other side at his home in some undisclosed location, and his hashtag or his call number. Say your call name again.
The Brooklyn G fellas.
He's Brooklyn G fellas. So we're just two guys on here. Then we talk about politics again. We're conservatives, but we take a look at everything. We don't bite our tongues when we see something that we don't believe is right or wrong. We don't
on either side.
On either side. That's what I said. We don't adhere to all that. So if you like what we have to say, feel free to call in. Feel free to chime in. Share with us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all the other handles you can think of. And call in and be a part of the show. Or you can type in and respond on Facebook or Twitter and those comments.
YouTube,
and we'll go ahead and answer your questions or share them with you as well. So it's a lot of ways, a couple of different ways to participate and be a part of the show. So we do appreciate you spending some time with us. Yeah. Tonight, before we go any further, we're going to talk about, do a little recap on the debate. We didn't, we just on Monday. So we're going to talk about this debate that happened.
Disaster.
I was going to say, if you want to call it a debate, the disaster that happened last Tuesday, 6 days ago, between President Donald Trump and Vice President Joe Biden. And we're going to see if we can pull anything worth anything out of that waste of my time. I wish I could get my hour and a half back.
Like I put on social media right after it was over. That was a 90-minute live stream of the California fires.
Yeah.
Just that's all you was watching.
It was ridiculous.
Yes, Mrs. Shauna. Hi, how you doing this evening? It's a complete train wreck.
Absolute.
Another train wreck. But yeah.
Yeah.
And what is
right. But before we go any further, though, I'm going to give a shout out to my Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, Lord. Lost again?
Look here. It's my bad news to tell since I'm a Jaguar fan. Let me tell it, all right? Because you don't say it with the right amount of sensitivity. You see, you don't have no emotions. Actually, you come with a little hubris. And this is not a time for laughter when the Jaguars are now 1-3.
I told you after that first weekend, you better savor that win. And here y'all going on 3 losses in a row. I told you better savor that win.
It's just time for an adjustment. Jaguars lost last night.
Hey, listen,
24 hours ago, 25-33.
At least Shad Khan building up downtown. They just got approved to build some high rises and apartment buildings and a complex down there. He pretty much getting the land for free
He pretty
down
get
at
what he wants. They
Lot
might
J down
change.
at, so
Well,
at least Shad Khan getting something out the deal. He providing a crappy football team, but he getting something back out of it from the city.
all I'm saying is Shad Khan get a whole lot around here in Jacksonville, and the push to change names from racist names. They might change Jacksonville, name it after Shad Khan.
That's it.
I'm
Shad
just
Khan
saying.
deal.
I'm just saying they might, because you're right. Shad Khan does come out. He is getting a whole lot of stuff around. So that's that. Hey, Elizabeth, how are you? Good. Appreciate you tuning in. All right, let's take a look, and let's go ahead and get down to business since we don't have a lot of time. Last week, 6 days ago, the presidential debate took off, and we're going to do a couple recaps. If you want to know, if you didn't see it, you're not missing much.
No.
If you want to waste a little bit of your time, or if you just want to say, okay, you know a little about it, which I hope you do, just to pay attention to it so you'd be up to date. But it was a debacle. Chris Wallace hosted it, and he did not do a good job at all. I think he did a very poor job.
Yes.
Of this debate. I haven't had the transcripts up here, so
he didn't control it from the beginning. From the very first interruption, he should have nipped it in the bud.
Yeah,
and scolded the first person and set the tone of how he wanted the debate to go.
Yeah,
and he didn't do that. He let it go on and on and on until it got completely out of control. And then by the time it was like towards the middle of the debate, down there, almost going towards the end, then he wants to finally say something.
It's like over now.
Yeah.
And you set the tone already. You got to set the tone from the beginning.
Yeah. He should have put his foot down. I mean, if they don't like it, they don't like it, But, you establish, establish dominance.
Exactly. But the funny thing about it is, it's not that he had to establish or do these things. They already agreed to how they're supposed to behave. So it's not like Chris Wallace is supposed to come up with some whole new ideas or some shock to the system and everybody logs on and all of a sudden or tunes in or gets up there. Everybody doesn't know what's going to happen. This is what you agreed to do. You agreed to be respectful. You agreed to let the other person talk. You agreed to have the American people hear what you have to say. And that's not what happened. So just from the beginning, the topics that were supposed to be talked about was the records of President Trump and former Vice President Biden, which means what they've done while they were in office. Mm-hmm. The Supreme Court, what's the situation with that? COVID-19, how it's being handled. The economy, race and violence in our cities, and the integrity of this election. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different points that they were supposed to talk about. Now I'm going to ask you a question, Christian. With these 6 points, which one do you think, I'm going to ask you, which one you think that President Trump is most vulnerable on, and which one you think maybe Biden would be most vulnerable on?
I think Trump may be vulnerable on COVID, just because the way the media has pushed how they say he's handled it, how bad they've handled it, as far as the number of individuals who have lost their lives, the number of individuals who gotten sick. So I think he could be he possibly could be vulnerable on that point. Okay. As far as Biden is concerned, I mean he's vulnerable on a lot, and primarily when you look at his alignment with the socialist wing of the Democratic Party. Okay. He can try to walk away from that and backtrack from that all he wants to. That's not what America knows. That's not. We know that he has aligned with Bernie Sanders. He has aligned with he talked about the Green New Deal during the debate and how he doesn't agree with it. He denied it. But when you go to his website, Joe Biden for President, the official website, he says he supports the Green New Deal. So which one is it? You're lying on your website or you're lying here in person during the debate? So I think that's where his biggest weakness lies, and as far as in law enforcement as well, law and order, should I say, it lies there as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So let's break it down then. If that is their weaknesses, what do you think the strengths are?
Trump's strengths will be the economy. His strength will be law and order. I don't really consider the Supreme Court picks as something that you can really brag about. You just happen to be in office during the time period when we had vacancies pop up. So that could have been anybody. You know what I mean? So I don't really consider that as he's done a great job. He appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. I mean, that could have happened to anybody. That was just unfortunate death and timing of death of the individuals who passed away that opened up the seat, and the person who retired who opened up a seat. So his strengths will lie with financial, the economy, Because the economy, whatever people want to say about the economy was booming prior to COVID. You can say it was, we have a lot of people argue, oh, that was President Obama's economy. Yeah, but y'all said he was going to crash it. He ain't doing nothing but make it better. So you got to give him his props for that because he didn't crash it. If it was,
Right.
if you're really going to make that point about it being Obama's economy, he made it stronger. So, which would be, everyone said, oh, once he gets elected, the economy is going to crash. Stock market's going to crash. That didn't happen. It completely went the opposite direction, which it's his economy. It's always been his economy. And even since COVID has hit and starting to come back, you can see the economy is starting to roll back. We're starting to get the jobs back. So that's certainly one of his positives. Law and order, strong on law and order. A lot of people think that that's about cracking heads. It really isn't. It's about cities not burning. It's about small businesses not burning.
And I agree with you. It's not about cracking heads. I think it's a lot about respect. And what I think is being taught right now is just to respect the rule of law.
Absolutely.
And of course, the rule of law ain't always right because we can see historically speaking, it hadn't been always right for everyone. So you have to have protests. I mean, you go back to the founding fathers, you go back to the American Revolution. The rule of law was what the king said. The king wasn't doing right by the people, so they protest. We had the Boston Tea Party. We had Tories getting tarred and feathered, and other people getting tarred and feathered. Literally, hot tar poured on them and feathers. So that was way more rebellion than what we're doing now. So rebellion is understood, but I think in 2020 in these times, we got to rebel a little differently if you want to make change. So I think that again, respect the rule of law. If you respect the rule of law, then you understand that your rebellion should come in a form in which the laws can be changed.
Right.
But run around tearing up stuff, burning stuff down, that
you're not accomplishing that.
And nobody respects that. No,
no one's paying attention.
You look like the wild animals they call you. You look like you displaying the reasons you're getting shot. You displaying the reasons why you're getting marginalized. You displaying the reasons why you get overlooked and treated bad because you're not acting in a way in which a civilized person would do, a logical person would do.
You look at everything that you look across this country though, from Seattle to Washington to Washington. Even when they came to Washington D.C. when he was attacking the what's it called? They had their RNC convention,
right?
And you have people attacking. These are liberals. These are Antifa, and there are a lot of white folks. You'll be hard pressed to see black folks in a lot of these riots.
Mm-hmm.
You may have some. You gonna have some out there. Don't even try to front like there ain't no black people out there. But what's going on in these cities that are being burnt down and tore down? These are your Antifa folks, supposedly your allies, wanting to help the black man and help minorities. No, they out.
Ain't my ally.
They ain't my ally. That's what they out there for. And and that's why I say the Black Lives Matter. The name is hijacked. It'll never be able to be recovered.
No,
and actually because I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with the name, but the fact that it's been hijacked since Ferguson. I know we had this conversation a while since Ferguson, and then it went to Baltimore. The movement was hijacked from day one,
right.
And this 2020, it's been even worse than what it was back in Ferguson and back in Baltimore after Freddie Gray died. So watch your allies. Everybody ain't your ally, but y'all love to say that. All skin folk ain't kin folk. Sir. That's what your movement got hijacked, and you should have used that theory and that ideology towards your movement. Well, and then you would be having the situation that you're in right now.
Did the movement get hijacked or get exposed?
No, it got hijacked. There's a difference.
Okay.
When you have individuals who are on the ground that are coming in that are causing the chaos specifically for anarchy, to cause trouble, and you have the individuals who are not able to actually weed them out, get them out, push them out, or maybe not even willing to confront them. Right. And you have a lot of people that say this ain't us. This ain't us. You saw it even in New York City when there was some issues over the summer when they was trying to destroy one of the stores, and there was a lady who was standing in front of them. What are y'all doing? Why are y'all doing this? Yep. This is not what we want. This is not what we want. It's so. But by that point in time, it's too late.
Yeah.
Because the movement has already been hijacked since 2015.
But then they have to do a better job of bringing it in. But let's get back, because we're drifting out. Let me bring you back to these topics that we want to talk about and the responses that we got from these well, from Trump and from Biden. Again, the first thing we'll talk about is just what was their history, their resume. Now, I argued, if you will, on Facebook about uh, this situation right here, where people just keep talking about Trump when I ask them about Biden. And again, I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. That's not my business. That's not my responsibility. I got my opinions. I'm not no better than anybody else. But all I ask is that when you vote, if you decide to vote, that you just do some research and come up with some reasons that make sense.
Yes, sir.
Most of the people that I talk to on the side of Joe Biden don't have any real reasons why they voted for Joe Biden, except that they hate Trump.
Yes.
Or they hate his behavior.
Yes.
They hate what he says. And when I ask about policy, they don't talk about that. When I ask about policy, like I'll speak to one lady that I ain't gonna tell her first name and last name, but I can. Bethlen Huff. She was on. She's on my Facebook right now. You can look her up in the responses and asking about this election. And I said, well, both of these guys are liars. Both of them have lied. Both of them are liars. So if you got two people that's lying, don't go at what they say. Go with what they've done. Take a look at the policies. And I ask her, what has Joe Biden done that you like? And she responds, well, Trump this and Trump that and Trump this. Okay, Trump's a bad person. Trump's a terrible person. Trump. And then she would go and tell me and other Trump supporters and this, that, other thing. And I'm like, okay, I haven't refuted anything you say. So what if I agree with everything you said about Trump? You still haven't said anything about Joe Biden.
Sure the hell ain't.
So go ahead and tell me about Joe Biden. And Trump. And again, I say, you still haven't told me about Joe Biden. I still want to know what makes Joe Biden such a presidential candidate. I'm like, this guy he's interviewing for the job of the president of the United States. And most people, when they interview for a job, they have on their resume what they've done in relations to this job that prepares them for the job.
Right.
They say, I've done this, that, and the other, and I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready for this position. I am qualified. So here it is. But the only thing that I see on Joe Biden's resume, at least from what other people have on there, his resume says, Donald Trump sucks.
Yep.
Hire me. If you look at some of his ads just talk about how he's a nice guy. I want for you to tell me what you've done in the last 40-something years that makes you presidential.
And you don't even have to go back that far. Just go back to the last the 8 years that you were the vice president. What legislation, what advice did you give to President Obama that became law, that was good, that worked for the country, that we need to either go back to or expand on? I mean, you don't even get health care from people when you talk about Biden.
Right.
You rarely get health care. You get exactly what you said. Trump is bad. Trump's wrong. Trump's mean. Trump's evil.
That's
Trump's
it.
racist.
Trump.
Okay, roger that. What do you like about Joe Biden?
Exactly, because no matter what, all this, if you get rid of Trump, can you tell us what we're going to get in Biden? Again, I'm not telling you to vote for Trump. I'm asking you, if whoever you vote for, when somebody says they're gonna vote, they're gonna vote for Trump, I say why as well. I'm gonna say why regardless.
Right.
But if you're going to do that, if we get rid of Trump, Trump is out. What can we expect in the next 4 years? What is that stock market going to do? What are businesses going to do? Are they going to start clamming up and holding on to the money and not investing?
Because he done said that he's going to raise the corporate tax rate back up to 35%.
Exactly. So, I mean,
38%.
But for some people think that's good. Is he going to increase the capital gains tax? He said he would. So which means people like me that have a 403B, people have a 50, some kind of retirement plan, 401k, some type of retirement plan, you invest in the stock market, if you're flipping houses trying to make some money, all that means you're going to be giving more money to the government.
Yes.
And if you think that the payoff of giving more of your money to the government to decide what's going to happen to it, then that's a good thing for you. But I'm not arguing the point if it's good or bad. I'm just saying.
I am.
Oh, okay. Well, that's another thing.
I'm arguing the point. Because first once you tell me why you like an individual, then I have something to work with.
Exactly. But first,
then we can actually have a dialogue.
The first step, right?
Whether or not it's good or bad for individuals or for the country. But I can't work with Donald Trump's a racist. Okay, well, your guy's been labeled a racist as well. Or, Donald
Yeah.
Trump's the sexist. Well, your guy's been labeled as
Oh
a
man,
sexist.
we know Joe's a pervert. We know Joe Biden's a pervert.
Exactly. So right there, those two arguments cancel each other out. What else you got?
What else you got? So let's go through policies.
Give me something to work with.
And again, when I talk about policy, it's not necessarily what you passed, because these guys aren't dictators. Sometimes
Right.
like you want to be. These guys are dictators. They're people that have positions that they need to influence others to get them to vote for them, agree with their vote, so they get stuff done. So what has Biden offered or completed, gotten done in his 40 plus years that make you say, yeah, we need more of that? And then we same thing with Trump. Trump's been in office 3.5 years. What has he done? What has he offered and or gotten completed that makes you think that Trump should be president again? That's all I'm asking, and that doesn't work. So when I look at Joe Biden, when we look at his resume, Rockman Johnson came on last week, and he talked about like the presidential initiative when he talked about Trump and the initiative that he didn't complete from Obama. But he also talked about Joe Biden's healthcare plan. He said it had some teeth to it. He said it had some merit. It had some specifics that he was going to do. Right. And we looked at Donald Trump. He said it was a whole lot of I'm going to. But if you look back and flip back, Donald Trump said he was going to give money to the black businesses, and he gave $500-something million or $1 billion already into black businesses and infrastructure already when he said he was going to do it. He said he was going to help out. He said he's going to help out the HBCUs, and he did that. So if we just want to look at it, when people saying, he's not going to do it because he's just talking, he does have a track record. Even it's 3.5 years. Yeah, he's 3.5 years. So that's what he's got. That's what he goes on. Policy-wise, he reduced taxes.
That's it.
And there was reduction of taxes. And people say, his friends got more reduction. His friends pay more of the money. Yes, but his friends got the taxes. They say the tax code wasn't so great, but the tax code was reduced. People are getting more money back.
Absolutely.
Businesses are coming back to we're coming back to the country that we're leaving, because he made it. He made an environment in which you are more productive staying in America than going somewhere else. Cutting regulations, stuff is booming. And you can come back. I mean, people can argue there's some things they like and some things they don't like. But all I'm saying is, I need you to be able to say something that Trump has done that you like. I need you to say something that Biden has done that you like, that will push them over the edge. And for you to cast that vote is so important.
And that's why the debate was such a failure, because it was the opportunity for both of them to actually come across. Now, there was, in between the bickering, in between the over talk, the double talk over each other, there was points that were actually made from both sides, but because of the chaotic nature of the debate, it was overlooked and glossed over and turned people off to where they didn't want to be bothered with. It was actually one of the lowest compared to the first debate between Hillary and Trump in 2016. It was lower than that. Wow. I was expecting to be high. Yeah, I think it was said the one in 2016, that very first debate, it was like 84 million viewers, and I think this one was only 70. Yeah. So
you know what that was? Because Trump didn't take out his COVID people. All those folk died.
I'm surprised if somebody would argue that point.
That lost it for 14 million. We lost 14 million people that would have been looking at TV at that night. So there it is.
All
right, let's go to the next thing. Now again, with the record, again, we talked about Trump's record. Like it or not, Trump's also had a record of things that people don't like. Well, I mean, this go ahead.
Let me backtrack on you though. All right, so because you brought up the HBCUs, you brought up the opportunity zones. You didn't say opportunity zone, but I know what you're getting at.
Well, glad you clarified for everybody.
But he failed. He failed in the. He just released Friday prior to this debate, 3 days ago, his plan. He didn't mention it at all.
Yep.
He didn't mention it. Not one part time did he say, I just released the platinum plan. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. When he started talking about when the conversation turned to race in America, and that was his opportunity to actually provide the American people, Black American voters. This is what I want to accomplish in the next 4 years.
Right.
The average voter probably gonna go to his website to look at what this platinum plan is. They're gonna get it how they normally get the information, off social media.
On Facebook.
It's the worst. Black. They're not gonna actually take the time to actually look to see the plan and what he's trying to accomplish. The same thing with Joe Biden. You didn't hear Joe Biden's what is it, Lift Every Voice plan?
Nope.
Did you hear when it came to race? You didn't hear nothing about his Lift Every Voice plan.
Nope.
So both of them failed. Both
Now,
of them failed in that opportunity to discuss what their plans for Black America was.
but does it? This is the question too, and you said this offline too, and it made a lot of sense to me. Even though I don't agree with you everything, but every now and then you say something right. I can't give you too much credit. Every now and then, broke clock is right twice a day, right?
I'm always right.
Okay. Well, you agree with me, but anyway, you said something important. We talked about people saying that Donald Trump or Republicans are just pandering to Black folk, and you said something very important that you were saying that they don't need the Black vote.
No,
they keep winning without big numbers in the Black vote. So to pander to Black people, I don't know if that's the word you want to say.
there's no logic in it.
Yeah, the logic is not unless there's some new strategist that came aboard. We talked about strategy before, winning strategies. Right. So the winning strategy is not to have a plan for Black America.
Yes, it is.
And you look at what Ice Cube and some other rappers and other quote unquote Black leaders or famous people were saying, hold off on your vote. P. Diddy was saying, hold off on your vote from the Democrat Party because they're taking us for granted and they keep promising things. We get nothing done. Make sure that if somebody has something for us in it, like anybody else that has a voting block, you people want something. I'm putting you in office because I want you to. These are needs that I need to have done. So if the policies have, or the plan, if you will, has not ever been to cater to Black people, yet we have Republican president in office again, why would they switch it, and why would they need to placate Black folk in it? So I don't necessarily agree with that. Then it's just placating.
You don't. Republican presidential candidates on average since what? I think it was Richard Nixon was the last one to get over 10%, and he got 29, 30% in his election. It was 68.
Let me see.
That's 68. Yeah,
he was in 68.
Yeah, 68, I believe it was. Yeah, so he was the last one to crack over 10%. The last one, and he ended up with 29 to 30% of the Black vote. That's when Black people were voting Republican at a much higher clip, way higher clip than what we've seen over since that time frame. So since then, Republican presidents have won. You got 8 years of Reagan, 4 years of George Bush 1, 8 years of what's my man name? George Bush 2.
What's my man name?
And now 4 years of Trump. So that's a lot of Republican presidents over the last 40 years that we've had in office without winning a Black vote. We're getting 8%, 6 to 8% of the Black vote. They don't need Black vote. The Republicans don't need. So when you see it, and which is why this plan had a lot of Black conservatives. I ain't gonna say Republicans. I say Black conservatives. Kind of excited. Because we've been pushing and asking for an agenda, right. something tailored from the Republican side, tailored specifically for targeting African American voters, Black voters. And here's the first president that's actually ever did that, not needing to,
right.
Not needing to. So that's one of the things that you have to look at when you're discussing. Democrats, they live in these cities. They live in these neighborhoods. Black people vote 85, 90% for them. Every election cycle. One of the things that it could be, that we talk about strategy, is the campaign sees that Joe Biden is actually lower in the polling of Black voters than where Hillary Clinton was. Not by a little, by a lot. It's like 16 to 20% below the level where Hillary Clinton was at the exact same point in the 2016 election. And we know they blame Black folks on the Democratic side. They did anyway. Y'all didn't turn out for Hillary. Y'all didn't show up for Hillary. Y'all didn't vote for Hillary. So that maybe is something that the campaign looked at and say, hey, maybe we can steal these votes. Maybe we can steal these votes. It's all about the strategy. You never know. You never know what's going on inside the campaign if you ain't a part of it. So it could be authentic, it could be genuine, or it could just be, a campaign ploy to get more of those votes. But on average, Republican presidential candidates don't need the Black vote.
See, that's
They
not
should go after it, but they don't need it.
right. But and now it comes down to the polarized. They're looking for the small little group of people that are on the fence. That's what we've been doing for a while now. I just need to get the people on the fence.
Yes.
Because we're at the point now. No matter what Trump says, if you like Trump, you're gonna roll with it. No matter what he says or what he does. Same thing with Joe Biden. No matter what Joe Biden says, people just gonna roll with it. And you're looking for the people that are willing to just take an honest look at both candidates and make an educated decision. And unfortunately, that's not that many in comparison.
Yes, and that's why I told you. That's why this debate was a lost opportunity.
Yeah.
To me, in my opinion, more so for the president than for Joe Biden. It was it was a lost opportunity because at this stage of the game, really since I would say probably August, your base does not matter anymore. It's the individuals who are on the fence.
Like I said,
and for a time period, I would say July. In most of August, Trump was actually different. His press conferences were different. And when I first noticed it, was my wife said it. Because she's not a Trump fan, doesn't like Trump, and everything associated with that. And she was like, his voice doesn't annoy me anymore. He doesn't seem irritated. He doesn't seem like he's just being a butthead.
Or maybe she was coming around.
No, she ain't coming around.
She ain't coming around. That's not it.
But my point is, when you have somebody who's not a supporter, not going to vote for the individual, hearing the difference in the tone of his press conferences, then you get to this debate. That stuff needed to carry on to the debate where he showed up there calm, cool, and collected. Because even Chris Christie said he went in too hot and he was pushing too far and doing too much interrupting and talking.
Right, and that's why I said Trump lost the debate. I know you said that it didn't happen.
Nobody won that.
I say Trump lost the debate. I think that Biden came up looking better. I think Biden came off as a person with who's being more sincere to the people for the mere fact that all the times that Trump kept interrupting Biden, and then Biden called him out and he said it to the people. He keeps interrupting me because he's scared of what I might say. He doesn't want you guys to hear what I'm going to say. And that is a tactic that people use.
That was a salient point.
That's a tactic that people use when they don't want the truth to be heard. And I said again, Trump has better policies than Biden. If Trump would just let Biden speak, I put it on Facebook and just let Biden speak and then come back and shoot everything. He shoot everything down.
From that standpoint, I agree with you. From that standpoint, I certainly agree with you that if you're looking at it from that standpoint, yes, he won. He won. But yeah, because just interrupting him the way he was and they were both interrupting. We ain't gonna play it, one side against the other. They both interrupting. Trump was like, well, you're doing it to me, I'm gonna do it to you. Right, you're doing it to me, so I'm kind of gonna do it to you. Yeah. And that's when it was really getting out of hand. But all he had to do was just let that man go.
If you give Joe Biden a rope, he gonna make a noose, put it around his neck, and find the nearest tree to jump and hang himself. And every time Joe Biden had that noose around his neck, he'd jump in the air, and Donald Trump would cut the rope, and he'd just fall to the ground and be all right.
I want to give a shout out to my man Roderick Threat. He just popped up over there on Periscope. He got the Black Conservative Enclave podcast that he got. So big shout out to my man over there.
Shout out to you.
Appreciate you watching and listening.
Definitely appreciate you watching. And ladies and gentlemen, we're having a little discussion here. I want you guys to be a part of it. So please join in. We see people saying Elizabeth Dubé says yes, she agrees. Joe Wilson's here. Roger just gave out speech. Patty Rich, People's President. You're right. He should have explained his platinum plan better. I agree with that. Joe Wilson says so far all presidents do nothing for Black people can see as a plus to them. They remain in the same social conditions. This will have to be shown in order for Blacks to see a candidate they can believe in and will come out and vote as a race.
No, that's a good point that he makes. But again, it goes back to what we were just talking about. One side doesn't need it. One side doesn't actually need to do this.
Right. But at the same time,
you get to the point where it gets to a point where you can't keep saying both sides. It isn't both sides. You can't expect here's what we like the conversation that we had. How are you expecting something from? So, for example, okay, the 90% of the 85 to 90% of African American people, Black people who vote for Democrat every election cycle, when they lose, can they really expect something from the Democrat from the Republican side?
No.
Should they expect something?
They should expect honest and fair treatment. And the reason why I say that, and the
That's
reason
not
why I
what I'm
say
getting. That's conservative. That's what we talk about. Conservative principles equally applied across the board.
Across the board. And your color shouldn't matter. Just do what's right.
But going in as far as what Mr. Joe Wilson was talking about, as far as a plan.
Right.
Should they expect a dedicated plan from the Republican president who they're not voting for? That's why this platinum plan was special. That's why it was different. Because you've never seen that before from the Republican side.
Right.
Ever. So you can't keep saying, well, both sides are doing this. Both sides aren't doing this. The side that you've been voting for, and you've had Clinton, you've had your Clintons, you've had your Obama. You had your Obamas. Where was their plan specifically targeted for you? They should have had black plans, and those are the ones that you would have expected to have produced that plan for you. They didn't produce that plan for you. So because they did not, you can now turn around and say, well, the other side didn't do either. Well, that's not who you're voting for. Let's keep it 100. It's not who you're voting for. And like, Mr. Threats, absolutely. Absolutely. He could have explained his plan. He could have gave some bullet points, some specifics. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what we're trying to accomplish these next 4 years. This is how it's going to be beneficial to the Black community. This is why This is why you need to come vote for me. That didn't happen.
Nice. It did not happen.
And he completely dropped the ball on that.
Did he drop the ball, or did he just realize, okay, that's not the most important thing, and I got to make sure everybody else is straight?
No,
because
Chris Christie said that they was doing debate prep. I find that hard to believe.
Who was doing debate prep?
That's Chris Christie was actually one of the debate preppers, who was helping the president. I find that
obviously the president. If that happened, obviously the president didn't listen to anything that he was taught.
Who you telling?
There's no way you did prep. What's the purpose of prepping, Mr. President, if you're not going to listen to him?
Yeah.
It's okay.
That was, I don't think there was no actual debate prep. They probably was sitting around shooting the breeze.
Right.
What's no debate prep? Because that would have been something because the race, the race aspect is going to come on. And here you are Tuesday night. You just came up with this plan Friday. Mm-hmm. Give the people something. Tell them something. Give them something.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You bringing up the race card right now?
No, I'm saying, but his plan. You had the opportunity to talk about your plan, and you didn't do that. So, that's on you. Maybe hopefully you spend some time during your Corona fiasco studying.
But again, it's not studying. It's doing what you're supposed to do. I talk about this as well. Donald Trump says he's got the best plan. He says he's the best for America, but he hasn't changed his delivery to which he could really blow Biden out of the water and any other candidate so he could make sure that he stays in office and delivers his great plan that he says he has. The fact that he won't change his ways, that he won't shut up, that he won't temper himself, that he won't pace himself, that he won't listen to his advisors, that he won't listen to the critics, that he won't listen to the polls. He only listens to himself. It seems like, are you really not dedicated to the American people? It's like you're dedicated to your ego, that your ego is so great that you're not going to change, even if it's going to help the American people. And what you said before, I alone have the answers. I alone. If you alone have the answers, then I need you to do it and deliver your message in a way that is palatable to the people.
So I think that we know who he is, right? So he's not going to change his style. Now that could certainly that could backfire 20
like it did this first debate.
Yes, because this first debate it got off the rails quick. And we know that he's not a politician. We know that he's a business guy. And he's been doing that since he won, like we talked about last time. He won the election with this style. But he has to understand that times have changed since 2016. People are a lot more skeptical, a lot more angry, a lot more
A lot
divisive.
more angry
So
is the
you
word.
have to, your approach has to be a little bit. You can't say, "Well, it worked in 2016. I'm gonna keep rocking in 2020." Your approach has to be somewhat a little bit different. Somewhat. You ain't got to change it all up. You can still
Yeah.
keep that fire. You can still keep that, the quick wit and shooting from the hip because it works for him. But there's certain aspects of it that he cannot do.
It's not working anymore. And again, I think that's what's going to cost him. As I said, this election to me is his to lose. So, and he's, again, with the first debate, he's working on that. Again, we can go back, but since you brought up race and responding, what was his response to the race thing when they asked him, will you denounce racism again, white supremacy? Now, again, we know that he's denounced it a number of times in the past. We also know in the past that he's also denied it, and he kind of skirted around it. Before he didn't know he didn't know the KKK. He didn't know who David Duke was. And like you telling me you freaking 50-something years old in America and you never heard of the KKK, you never heard of David Duke. But then of course they went back and found clips where he was talking and dealing with David Duke when he said he never knew who David Duke was. But then he come back out and then he renounced it and then they asked me, so he's just wishy-washy on it.
Right.
And as the media has painted him as being this racist, this hater of black people and other minorities, like you said, he knows the question is going to come. So when someone asks you that question, he should have just been ready to immediately say no and shut it down. No, I'm not answering this anymore. Look in the camera like Joe Biden did and said, look, write this down, record this, do whatever you want to do. I don't like racism. I denounce it. Like he said after what happened over in Ferguson, or what we said. He said, I denounce it. I don't like the Klan and other hate members and hate groups had no place in America. Now, stop asking me this question. I'm never going to answer this question again. So stop asking me.
Yes, and that's right there was the problem because it was a layup, and he's been bad at these layups. When they give them to you, just knock them out the park and be done with them. So when you ask the question, he should have just answered the question right then and there.
Yeah,
I denounce it. I'm not answering this question anymore. I've already answered this question. I'm not answering it. How come you aren't asking Joe Biden this question?
Right.
Because he has his own racial issues that need to be addressed.
Exactly.
The media is not answering. So
not answering it at all.
They're not asking him. They're not asking him that question. They're not asking Joe Biden that question at all. Right. He has his own racial stuff going on. And so he should have make that layup, shut it down, and move on. And the next time you get that question, you don't need to answer it because you've already answered the question. You're not going to answer it. But that's the problem, though, that we have with the media, right?
Yeah,
we have with people throughout, social media land. We've seen there's clear video of him denouncing white supremacy.
Right.
There's clear video of him denouncing the Klan, denouncing anything of that nature. People's problem is they don't like how it was done. They don't like how it was done. They don't like the individual who did it, and none of that. But they can't be honest with you and say that. So they have to keep asking the question over. Just be honest and say we don't like the answer that was given, and we don't like the individual who gave the answer.
They might just say, we don't like you, Trump, and we're gonna paint you and keep asking the same question over and over again.
Yes, that's what we're gonna do. So in order for him to just shut it down, he should have just shut it down.
But he didn't. And what did he say? He came back, and we know the famous quote because even the Proud Boys and airplane stand back and stand by. That is not a denunciation of the Proud Boys.
Well, they're not. First of all, first, let's stop right there. Because liberal folks say somebody's a racist doesn't make them a racist. Let's start there. Joe Biden brought the Proud Boys into it, not Chris Wallace.
Right.
So that's Joe Biden making his opinion of the Proud Boys. That doesn't make it law. That doesn't make it racist.
But it became de facto law because the Proud Boys. Go ahead.
It only becomes de facto law if that's something that you want to believe in. So you have two individuals debating. If it's like when Trump brought up Antifa, did that become de facto law? No, it did not.
They skirted right over that. They didn't go into more detail about that.
My point exactly. So just because an individual comes up and says this group right here, they're white supremacists, that doesn't make them white supremacists. They're not white supremacists.
All right, you done?
I am. They're not white supremacists.
De facto, they are. Now we can argue because I looked at some stuff on it, but we go de facto. they became white supremacists when Donald Trump didn't say they're not white supremacists. Just like you said, the Black Lives Matter were taken over, hijacked. The original was this, but people said it that. Nobody corrected them. So when Joe Biden introduced the Proud Boys as racist, Donald Trump didn't say they're not racist. Donald Trump just said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say what you want to say. He told them to stand back and stand down. So if you don't know who the Proud Boys are, Joe Biden put them and said they're racist. And all the folk that believe in Joe Biden are going to believe they're racist. I'm not arguing if they're racist or not. That's what we can talk about that in a moment. But I'm saying they became de facto racist because they were put in that same sentence. Yes. Like people say sometimes, don't even put my name in your mouth, right? Don't even associate me with that.
Right.
But they were associated with it. Nobody cleared it up. And Trump told the racist organization, this in the minds of folk, to stand back and stand what?
Stand by.
Stand by. So he told them, get ready because something's going to happen. You in the military. What stand by mean, Christian?
Stand by means get ready and
because something's going to happen. Be ready no matter what.
You stand by to stand by.
Yeah, what stand down mean? What stand down mean?
Stand means go away and chill out.
Chill out. He didn't say that, did he? He said racist organization that you've been painted as a racist organization in front of all these 72 million people. Right. He said in front of 72 million people, he let the Proud Boys be labeled racist, and he told that racist organization to stand by.
Well, I mean,
what people supposed to think?
I don't know what people supposed to think.
You know they're supposed to think. With you. What are they supposed to think? What would you say?
I think you're supposed to do your own. You're supposed to do your own research again.
But we already know. But we know people ain't doing their own research. We already said that. It's established. They're not going to do the research. So if they're not going to do the research, then you got to speak the language of the people. You can't tell people, I need y'all to learn Chinese since I decided to speak in Chinese. No, you know I don't speak Chinese. So speak to me in the language I understand if you want my vote. The language I understand is right here. These boys have been called racist. And you did not say they weren't racist. You told them to stand by. You told these racists to stand by. So what are you calling these racists to stand by for? What is next, Donald Trump? Are you calling them, same thinking, are you calling them to be ready in case you lose the election to cause some havoc? Because you said if you lose the election, you're not going to bow down. You're not going to back down. There's not going to be a peaceful transition, which it should be. In this country, that's what makes one of the things great about it. It's supposed to be a peaceful transition of power. But now you telling these quote unquote racists, the people that you allowed to be called racist, to get ready. Why would you tell racists to get ready? What do racists do? They do racial stuff. So you're telling them to get ready and do some racial stuff.
There is no defending. There's no.
So that's how. But that's what I'm saying. That's another reason why I say he lost.
That's what happens when you are shooting from the hip. Because I wouldn't even have told them to stand by. I wouldn't even have told them to stand down. I wouldn't have said anything concerning them. I don't know who they are. I've never heard of them. I've not.
But he good at denouncing. Somebody go pull a clip and see what he's probably talking about it.
I would have. Well, right there on the spot when it just gets thrown out by your opponent, I'm like, I don't know who that organization is.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got? Yeah. Give me something else. I don't know who that organization is. Who else you got? Because you can't really. Because then he came out he did an interview and he actually called them out and said he denounced the Proud Boys. Mm-hmm. He actually did. So it is what it is.
But then 72 million people looking at him say stand by, or 70 million, 72 million. That's a whole lot of people that having this conversation.
But that's like anything else.
But like you said, he dropped the ball with 72 million people. If these 72 million people are looking, they're probably a vast majority of them are actually going to go and vote.
Yeah. No, what do you want? I'm not sure what you want. He dropped the ball. He should have been he's really good at shooting from the hip, and he dropped the ball on that. And that would have been a little
shaky on that.
I don't know who that group. I don't know who that is. I've never heard of them. What else you got? Move on, or just move on. And again, he should have just made the layup. I denounce white racism. I deny white supremacy. What else you got?
Yeah,
but that's not going to be a satisfying answer anyway. Nothing that he's going to give is going to be a satisfying answer, and we know that.
But that wasn't satisfying regardless. I don't care how you look at it. That was never. Satisfying to the Proud Boys.
So it's something that shouldn't. And here's the deal, though. And this is why the moderator did a really piss poor job, right? Because if he's actually going to ask him that, and during that debate, at no point did he ask Joe Biden to denounce Antifa.
Well,
At
he
no
did. Oh no, Trump did, but the
I'm
Wallace
talking
didn't.
about the moderator. At no
Yeah,
point did the moderator ask Trump to denounce white racism and white supremacists. He did. The moderator did that.
yeah.
The
He didn't say
moderator
nothing
never
about it.
asked Joe Biden
He didn't say
to.
nothing about that.
I need you
Because
to denounce. Will you right here in front of the world denounce Antifa?
now, okay, here's the thing though. He didn't do that, and he also said Black Lives Matter. Trump also has Black Lives Matter, but as we see, Black Lives Matter get a pass on a lot of things. They even got a pass
Oh,
on. They even got a pass on Saturday Night Live.
what do you mean they got a pass? What do you mean by who did he get a pass by?
Saturday Night Live. Well, we're going to talk a moment ago about what Megan, quote unquote, Thee Stallion, how they
Well,
do that.
I wouldn't
Now,
necessarily call that Black Lives Matter though. I wouldn't. I'm talking about the actions of the individuals on the ground, because
okay,
what we do know is that there are a lot of individuals on the ground who represent Black Lives Matter that don't actually represent the organization and don't believe. And let me go ahead and repeat that, 'cause I know we had this our first episode. And if you guys have never first time tuning in, we appreciate you guys watching. There's a
definitely
difference
do.
between Black Lives Matter, the sentiment, and Black Lives Matter, the organization. Stop trying to put them together, because everybody that's on the ground supporting Black Lives Matter, that doesn't mean they support Black Lives Matter, the organization. We are smart enough. We know what the organization is about. We know that they are detrimental to the Black people. We know that they are detrimental to our cause and what we believe overall as an organization. We know that. You don't need to educate us on that.
We playing football, Christian. What's that right there? Tim playing football. What's that?
I don't know what that is.
You'll call that first. You're gonna get the timeout. What's that mean?
That's 20 seconds. That's basketball.
I need 20-second timeout of what you just said, because what you're saying is right and wrong. And what I mean by that, when you talk about, okay, Black Lives Matter, this, but there's a sentiment. There's two different things.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't need to be two different things. If you got a different set of
phone
values,
call.
but go ahead and take care of that and mute that real quick, so we don't have to hear it and bring him on in a second. But whoever Black Lives Matters is, they need to have a different name if you're going to separate from the organization. And let me tell you what I mean. You can't have the two together and say, I need you to separate them. It's like, yes.
That's what we do. That's what I just said earlier. It's been hijacked. The name has been hijacked. You're never getting that back. You're never getting that back.
It's like what happened. It's like when you look at the rebel flag and you see people had a flag and people say that it means automatically racist, but you see other people say it means heritage, not hatred, Southern pride and those things. So you have to, because they didn't take the flag back, because no one stood up and said, we're going to give us a different flag or don't use this flag. It doesn't mean that for years and years and years. When people see that flag, they automatically think what? Hatred. They automatically think racism. They automatically think slavery. So when people see Black Lives Matter, if you don't separate yourself from the folk that don't act like you want them to act and believe like you want to believe, if there's no line of delineation, then it all becomes mixed in. Because we do see some leaders of the quote unquote Black Lives movement that say some ignorant stuff. Like, I forgot one of the ladies, I can pull it up in a moment if we really want to, of let the people loot. You know, when they want to loot, let them go ahead and burn stuff down. Let them take what they want to take.
We got a call on right now. Let's just hey, Miss caller.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? What's your name?
Dory.
Oh, Miss Dory, how you doing?
Hey, okay, what's up?
Great, how are you?
Okay, we doing well.
Okay, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this together. But my point is, we as a race of people, we are not together.
No, I agree with you.
And so this is what disturbs me. Here in Jacksonville, if we could just do this in Jacksonville, we have fraternities, sororities, we have Black lawyers, we have Black doctors, and we have a Black church on every corner. If two people from every organization had come together last month before last, we go through the neighborhoods and start getting people to vote. You got to concentrate on people. And we seem to have an attitude that the people who we call poverty-stricken areas are not going to vote. Everybody is somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
They need to be lifted up, and we are not doing that. We can count on solve our problems ourselves on simple things by going through, letting people know, hey, I love you. Come on out and vote. I'm going to see that you get to the polls. I'm going to see that you get a job. Everybody that lives in these areas, these people are not dumb. These people are depressed. God gave every man a talent. Some of them can do wonderful things, but because of the conditions they lived in so long, they're depressed. We need to lift our people up. The government, I don't care, Democrats or Republicans, they're not going to lift us up. We need to do things for ourselves.
Yes, ma'am. And that's what having a strong. That's why having a strong community is important, and having, like you said, there's a church on every corner. I mean,
we need to get out. We need to get out.
Yes.
People in the face. And I told the minister the other day, I said, you need to come out of the pulpit and off the street.
Yes, ma'am.
Save my soul because I'm not in the church. Come to where I am. I'm on the street. Come and show your love. Come and show your love.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. And there are churches. We can't say all churches don't do that. There are churches that do a lot inside the community as far as actually trying to outreach and be a part of the community. Because you'll have a church that'll pop up and it'll kind of just be them, and they don't deal with the community. They don't interact with the community at all.
Interact with other churches. So they say the churches should be uniting.
But you do have churches that actually are trying to be a part of the community where they are established and where they are set up at.
Few and far between.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I can't argue that. It's few and far in between, but the ones we got to make sure that we're encouraging the ones who are doing it.
Definitely.
To continue, and we got to make sure that's something that's known, because we can't make sure that we don't paint everyone with a broad brush and say that it's not happening. We need to let people know that this is occurring. You never know. There may be a preacher out there who don't know or church out there that don't know how to go about doing it. That's where having a strong community of leaders to actually bring people together to actually get these types of things accomplished. You shouldn't have a situation where anybody was going hungry. Anybody's going without clothing for their children or for themselves. You should never have that in any community where you're at.
And you know why? It's like that. You know why it's like that? When I travel around and look at people, I've worked as a social worker for 25 years here at Jacksonville. Everybody gets so involved with themselves.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember what my daddy said years ago. We got a car and a credit card out of our other. We have got to come together and forget what you have and think about what your forefathers went through to get you there.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I'm saying. We need to stop complaining about the other people and do what we can do. There's enough of us, there's enough money among us to get the job done.
Yes, ma'am.
Get my homeless people off the street, get my veterans off the street. It makes no sense in the USA. Y'all keep up the good work, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for calling in.
Take it back to the community, tell the people, because I had a thing going last week with Jacoby. Wake Up Everybody campaign. You remember the song by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes?
Yes, ma'am.
The same thing that they wrote in 1984 when they wrote that song. It's appropriate today.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Wake up everybody trying to teach a new plan. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. We appreciate that, caller.
And that's what we were talking about. Like when the very first show we talked about. You talk about the black community. We need to steal Joe Biden and build back better. We need to steal that idea, and that's what we need to do. We need to take our community back by the horns. But like she said when she first came on, it's a lot of individuals who are selfish, backbiting. Everyone wants to be the man. Everyone wants to be the woman.
Joe Biden is not going to do it.
Yep.
Joe Biden can't do it.
Well, no, I'm talking about just the name of his campaign is Build Back Better. That's what we need to do with the black community overall. We need to build it back better than how it used to be in the I would say in olden days. I don't want to insult nobody.
Hey, but you call it what you will.
Back in the day. Back in when it was. Yes. Nope. Yes, ma'am.
Y'all be blessed. Keep up the good work.
Thank you for calling in. You have a good night.
And you too. Keep up the good work.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that's good stuff right there. That's good stuff right there. So again, we can go on and on. I know you probably seen the debates, but just let's cut two or three things about the debate that you liked, if you would. If you can find two or three, then we'll transition over to what the responses are. Then we'll talk about this vice presidential debate, which is coming tomorrow. So give me a couple of things that you give me some good takeaways from giving Donald Trump and Joe Biden 90 minutes of hours of your life that you can't get back. 90 minutes of your life.
Three things that my three
If you got three, give as much as you can. I don't have three.
I don't. I think the message on both sides of the aisle was stepped on. It was stepped on so bad. You actually would have to go back and really just listen to it a second time and try to block out the other individual just to hear what someone was saying. And so I take away nothing positive. America lost. America was weeping. That was a horrible debate. I don't think anyone won. I don't think anyone should be pounding their chest, beating their chest about how good they did or how good their side did. Absolutely not. It was awful. Even from the moderator standpoint, it was awful.
Yeah.
So nothing. I have nothing good to say about any aspect of that debate at all.
Okay.
How about you?
My response to that is, I agree with you. I think that what we realize, and I've said it before, is no matter who wins, we as the American people are going to lose. We're going to lose out on one. If Trump wins, then we're going to lose out on people having respect for the presidency like we already have. They've already lost respect for him. You can see how they talk about Melania. They'll call her all kind of names because of, she took the nudes and again, she didn't take them for kids. They'll say she's some kind of all this other stuff. She took those, but it wasn't for the kids to see, but people showed them and they attack her for that. We're losing respect in the fact that people just have already painted him as a racist. Granted, he's done a lot of things to back that up. So it's not like he didn't necessarily earn that moniker, but I think if Trump wins, we're going to have that. We're going to have a president that we can't trust everything he says. He'll flat out lie to you. He lied about putting Hillary in jail. He lied about his taxes. He's lied about a couple of things on policy. They catch him in fact checking all the time doing stuff. We'll lose on that. If Biden becomes president, I think the whole economy will lose. I think we'll suffer because Biden's lied on his thing before. Biden has done created racist policies. I don't think Trump's ever created racist policies, but Biden wrote that 94 the drug crime bill. I think that people will lose respect in the fact of businesses and our enemies will get more strength, I think, if Biden becomes president, because they see him as weak. They see him as one that will run to the United Nations. They see him as one that will seek out a whole lot of the counsel, even by our enemies in the United Nations, before we'll make a decision on how or when if we're going to defend ourselves. Right. I think that is a loss for him. I think that, again, the businesses will clamor up. They'll constrict, and businesses will suffer. If businesses suffer, they won't hire, and our economy will suffer. I think he'll push that agenda for that one medical plan, that socialized medicine that doesn't work anywhere in the world. I think he'll push that, and I think we'll lose on that as well. I think he'll keep pushing the socialized agenda that I think Obama laid a good groundwork down for, and so I think we'll lose more on that. So either way, I think we'll lose. It just depends on what we want to lose. I think we'll lose more with Biden than we will with Trump. So, but I wonder. I keep saying I'm gonna say it over and over again because we have new people listening all the time. I don't understand how we can have 3.5 years of Trump, maybe 4.5, 5, because he was running for president for a year and a half or two before the actual election. We can have all these years of Trump, and you can make all these complaints about Trump and call him all these names and how terrible he is, and the best you can put up is a Joe Biden. Why is that the best that you're looking at Donald Trump and his presidency? Why is the best that you can put up is a man that really can't beat Trump?
Because they like nostalgia. Why do you think every time you talk about school choice, they talk about the schools and these old schools that haven't done well? They like nostalgia. They love nostalgia. They wanted to harken back to the days of Barack Obama and Joe Biden in office. That was the whole purpose of him getting to the point that he was actually the Democratic nominee. nostalgia. They long for. You see these people. Yeah, listen. What was it last week? There was another article that came out that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama were the most admired people in the world.
Yeah, I'm not
They
surprised.
come out like every week with one of these about them two, because that's what that side of the aisle clamors for.
Right.
They clamor for the 8 years under the that time period. It wasn't good for everybody. It was a bad time period for America. Not bad in the sense where, I mean, because you had your police shootings. Let's not pretend like there was no police shootings.
Ferguson.
We had riots. Like there was no riots. We had issues. We had
our racism.
Economy.
We had our economy.
We had people, the most unemployed people ever.
But you know what's funny? With the racism and all that happened under Obama, nobody said this is Obama's America.
No.
When it's under Trump, they said this is Trump's America. But when the riots in Ferguson, when
Baltimore
and all these other places happened, didn't Trayvon Martin and all these other things, nobody said this is Obama's America. So how come if it's racism when Trump is in office, it's Trump's America? Then whose America was it when Barack Obama was president?
Biden's America.
Biden's America. Okay, just checking. So if and this we talk about too. If you're going to apply this logic, if you're going to apply these rules, if this is what you're going to go by, the rules have to apply all the time. You can't just pick and choose when you're going to say this because you lose credibility. You have to find out. We talk about your political platform, your political philosophy. You got to figure out what you think is right and wrong, and it's got to be good enough to be applied at all times to all people. If your philosophy is not going to be able to be applied at all times to all people, then your philosophy is flawed. And the more flaws you have, to the point to where you just need to throw it out and start all over. But you can't just pick and choose when you're going to apply some rules. You look ignorant.
That's why we say we conservative principles applied equally.
I agree with that.
Applied equally applied conservatism.
Okay, well, let's apply something
you can't get no better than that.
Yeah. Well, let's apply what Megan Thee Stallion said. And you know who Megan Thee Stallion, and how did she get that name?
I mean, I rather not.
You know what we're talking about?
No.
Okay.
Because it goes into the Breonna Taylor situation where, you done broached the subject now, so I guess not. So, because I don't think we ever even talked about Breonna Taylor the last time. We didn't get a chance to.
Okay.
And the young lady who was killed.
Yeah, we did talk about it.
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we did.
Okay. Well, maybe I had so many discussions about it, so maybe let's talk to somebody else.
I don't think we did. But so the Attorney General, they never pressed charges, criminal charges, should I say, against the officers involved. The charge that one of the officers was charged with was it what do they call it? Reckless endangerment?
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't even that. Wanton something.
I'll pull it up. The exact
term. It was wanton endangerment. Pretty much for shooting inside the neighbor's apartment and hitting her curtains.
Yeah.
Shooting her walls.
Yeah, they got it. He didn't get in trouble for shooting her. He got in trouble for missing the bullets that missed, basically.
Right. So since that's happened, and since the AG came out and said, hey, this is what's going on, there won't be any charges. These are the only charges. The only one individual has got something that's pending against him. We've had one of the grand jury individuals who was on the grand jury sued the Attorney General to have the transcripts released. Because as soon as the Attorney General had his press conference, that was one of the major questions that was asked. Are you going to release the transcripts? You know, what was presented to the grand jury? Are you going to release the transcripts? Are you going to release the transcripts? He didn't want to. He said there was still some stuff that was, going on, and he didn't want to release the transcripts. Right. So one of the grand jury members that was on the grand jury decided to sue. So then he finally came out and said, okay, well, we're going to release the transcripts. I don't know why he didn't do that in the first place. He shouldn't have had to be sued to do that. Mm-hmm. I hate when people talk about transparency and they do everything they book not to be transparent. If you're transparent, then release it all. There should have been nothing left to be held for anything.
Right.
So the family has decided that they have reached out to the governor, Governor Beshear of Kentucky, and asked him to appoint a special prosecutor to reopen the case.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some funny business going on with this case. Everything is not on the up and up. There's a lot of unanswered questions from what the police did, whether or not they knocked. You know, according to the reports, they interviewed 12 people, and of the 12 people, only one person said they heard knocking.
Right. And he said he only heard it. Well, he not heard knocking. They heard them. They heard. Yeah, he said the guy said he only heard it one time, and that was a neighbor that was right next door to her.
Right.
But he said he only heard it one time, and the rest of the time he didn't hear it as all the commotion was going on. And even when Breonna Taylor's boyfriend called the police after she was shot, he called 911, and he's speaking to them. We don't hear in the background anyone screaming, "Police, police, police." Mm-hmm. But the police were saying that they kept announcing themselves as to who they were. The police officers that came into the house, of course, they had a warrant to go into the house, and they had a warrant. Breonna's house was listed as one of the homes that her ex-boyfriend was selling drugs in and moving narcotics through.
Right.
They had surveillance of him going in and out of the house, but it was a couple months old. And he had that house listed as his address. They also had recordings of him calling Breonna Taylor and talking to Breonna Taylor. And they were talking as if they still had a relationship going, even though she was living with another guy that she was calling a boyfriend.
Right.
She was talking to the ex-boyfriend, the drug dealer that was in jail from phone calls, as if, you know, she told him she loved him, and they would, you know, he wanted to be in bed with her, and she was like, okay, that type of stuff. So they had a reasonable cause in that effect to say that that'd be a house to go when they're looking. But the problem is the understanding is what they looked in some of these interviews is that if you haven't seen any activity in the last 48 hours, then you really don't mess with that place because the person's probably not there. They hadn't seen any activity as far as that guy going to the home in more than 2 months. So it was way outside of scope of what their normal processes are to say that we should use this house,
right,
as we should put this address on the list of addresses for warrants that we're going to go to. And they had a string of homes, and because they had a string of homes, that means they need a whole lot of manpower. And one of the problems was they didn't have enough manpower. They had so many homes that they had people working together when they were doing these break-ins, or if you want to people call them break-ins, when they're doing the warrants, that people never work together.
I mean, that's what they are.
Yeah, breaking in. So the no-knock warrant, of course, is you don't have to knock. You just go right in. You break the door down, say police, and basically you want to give people time to destroy evidence or shoot back or do whatever they're going to do. You want to catch people completely off guard.
Yep. That's one of the stupidest laws that's on the books. You're asking for trouble in a country where individuals are have a right to bear arms and be inside their house. Because if somebody kicks in my door, I'm shooting. Period.
Yeah.
I'm shooting. You kicking in my door, I'm sitting in my house watching TV. I like my TV loud. I'm watching sports and my door come flying open. Bruh, I'm shooting.
Yeah.
I'm shooting. It's a stupid law that should not be on the books in this country. And that's why Senator Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, he put in the Breonna Taylor Act up in the Senate, the U.S. Senate, to actually have no-knock warrants banned. If you want these people, knock on the door. Wait for them to come outside. Catch them how you need to catch them. But just busting in somebody's house, even if it's 7 o'clock at night, it doesn't matter. 10 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're asking for trouble. It's a law that puts unnecessary lives in danger, puts the police in danger, puts the individuals in their homes in danger unnecessarily.
Yeah, and the backlash of that as well is that the police officers again weren't trained. The guys that came in, the ones that came in the door, were undercover narcotics officers. They weren't in police uniforms.
Yes, sir.
But as you told me, you read that the boyfriend only shot once.
That's what the report said. He fired his gun once. They
one
fired 32
time.
shots.
And they fired 32 shots, and they
Yes.
shot Breonna Taylor. I'm looking at least 8 times.
Yes.
And
So she was hit 6. So, and one of the officers said, well, he just saw muzzle flashes, and he started, that's the guy who got in trouble for shooting at the wall, is because he just started firing. Because he saw a muzzle flash. Yeah, but that's your own guys. That was your own guys that was shooting.
Yeah.
It wasn't the other side shooting. It was your guys shooting.
So you couldn't even recognize that which way the muzzle flash was. If you're looking straight ahead, the muzzle flash is out that way. That's coming towards you. If you're looking to the left or the right, those muzzle flashes are your friends shooting at the other way.
Yes, there's so much stuff to this case that's unanswered. And then again, if the police didn't do anything, one of my main questions, if the police didn't do anything wrong, then that means the boyfriend did something wrong. How come he ain't arrested?
Yeah, they let him go.
Now you're saying the boyfriend didn't do nothing wrong.
Somebody did something wrong, or nobody did something wrong. So
no one did nothing wrong. Everything was on the up and up.
Uh-huh.
That's what you're trying to tell the American people. She's dead, but everything's on the up and up. Nothing went wrong. Everything went the way it was supposed to go because no one was arrested for her murder.
And the boyfriend's name is just, we haven't said his name. We use a lot of pronouns. I apologize. Kenneth Walker III is the boyfriend's name. So he was in the bed where they were relaxing, and that's when they start beating on the door. He said they asked, who is it, who is it? In the middle of the night, they both were like, what's going on? And kept the beating and never say anything. So he got his gun. Breonna Taylor's walking towards the door. All of a sudden, the door busts open. He shoots one time, and they just open up on a hail of gunfire. And that's when Breonna was hit. He calls 911 and tells what happened. Again, he's on there. He's crying. You can listen to the 911 tape. His girl shot. He's all distraught, of course. And after that, of course, he turns his gun in, and they bring him out, quote unquote, peacefully. I mean, you want to say peacefully after all that, but they bring him out and they arrest him. And then after they go through everything, of course, the 3 guys, the narcotics guys that were the main ones entering the door and doing all the shooting, they didn't have body cams, as we said. How we know about what was happening inside, because the guys on the backside, the younger police officers, the ones that weren't the undercover narcotics agents, they came in afterwards and they had on their body cams. And that's where we hear them talking. And that's when we see the evidence based on their body cams of the shooting and the bullets and all the different places. And that's where the real, if you will, the real destruction, if you will, of that house. It looked like most panic than anything. We can see how many places were just shot up after one shot. And as you said, we got police officers just shooting in the house, but the curtains are pulled up. You don't know who's in the house, and you're just firing away. You're in not a house, an apartment building. So people are on all sides of it, or could be on all sides of it. If you live in an apartment complex, you know that the walls aren't thick. So these bullets,
and that's why people talk about only out of 12 people interviewed, only one person heard them announce themselves.
Yeah.
In an apartment building, you must ain't never lived in an apartment building if you believe that.
Yeah.
Exactly. You ain't never lived in an apartment building. The walls is thin.
Yes.
Yeah, everything.
Yes.
And according to what they reported, what they told the grand jury was for 30 to 90 seconds, they was knocking and they was announcing. And they was knocking and they was announcing for 30 to 90 seconds. But you only had one person of the 12 they interviewed say that they heard them announce.
Yep. And nobody else. The boyfriend didn't hear it. No other neighbors heard it. But they said
for 30 to 90 seconds, they knocking and announcing. But only one person heard it. One person.
I don't believe it. I don't believe
that either. And why would you apply for a
no knock
warrant and then knock it in her?
Yeah, but again, I'm just looking at when I saw the video, just the hell of fire. The officers were Officer Mattingly, Hankinson, and Cosgrove. Those are 3 that were placed on administrative leave.
Hankinson was the one that was found guilty or found liable for shooting that lady Wall.
Yes, he's the one that's firing. He's the one that's firing into the house. He just didn't know. Again, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West when somebody they're trying to get the criminal, like you got Bonnie and Clyde, or
indiscriminately shooting.
Yeah, you got him in the house. You surround the house and you scream, "Come on out! You're surrounded!" And then one of them in the inside shoot 2 or 3. Fire a couple rounds out at the police officers, and then every police officer just starts opening up on the house. They're shooting in the bath. They're shooting every room they can think of. They're shooting left, right, up, down, side to side. Yes. They just figure they're going to riddle that house with bullets. And if you get lucky and get one of them, that's all you need. and we'll figure out the rest. Everybody in that house is going to die. And
so let's get to Daniel Cameron.
Go ahead.
So Daniel Cameron is the Attorney General.
Oh, yeah.
Black Republican Attorney General, newly elected.
No experience. He's Attorney General, but never having experience prosecuting anything.
I didn't know that.
That's okay. Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's true.
Yeah.
So he's a brand new Attorney General. He hasn't been in office that long. I think he won last year, maybe 2018. It's fairly recent that he's been the Attorney General. High profile in the Republican Party. He just spoke at the RNC convention. Well liked guy. Let me tell you what I think. Why nobody was charged. I think he was forced into the Blue Lives Matter corner. That's what I think. That's my personal opinion. I have no proof of that, but that's why we live in America. We can voice our opinions. That's my personal opinion. I think he was forced with everything that's going on in the country. We have police who have been discriminately targeted. We have police who are being attacked. We have people talking about defund the police. I think he was pushed into that back to Blue Lives Matter corner, and that's why no charges was filed. And if that's the case, then that's bad on him. That's bad on him. Because what they're essentially saying is no one did anything wrong other than shoot some walls. That can't be the investigation. That can't be what they got out of the investigation.
Can't be.
The only thing that was done wrong is that someone shot and hit a wall in another apartment. Really?
That's it.
And that's why he should have released the transcripts to let us know what was said to the grand jury. Grand jury's a secret. The identity is a secret. We don't need to know all that. You can one line it. You can just like the witnesses. You can one line the witnesses, black out the witness. We don't need to see what individuals said what, but we can deduce what was said as you're flowing down the transcript. What was offered, what evidence was produced, who said what, why. So no other questions could be asked. Well, why was this presented? Why was this not presented? Why did this individual say that? Who told this individual that? Where did that information come from? So you're never given the opportunity to get that information unless now that he's being sued to release the information. Now we're starting getting that information. And that's where the cover-up, it smells like a cover-up. So, it's bad all around. It's bad all around. It's bad all around.
All right. Now, it is. But we're talking about Daniel Cameron. Now, Daniel Cameron, this is when I was talking about his experience. And when he was running for office, this is part of what was being said. It's in Kentucky, so I want you to listen to this. And as a matter of fact, let me share it with you. You can just read it for you. We'll read it together because I want you to actually see I'm not making this up. And when I talk about a lack of experience, Christian, watch this. It is you're going to be like, are you serious? I'm going to share it with us right now. And let's see.
Yeah, I had never heard that aspect that he only had, he's never done any prosecuting, which I find that hard to believe.
Okay,
but
well, let's take a look at it.
It's a popular when you talk about when you're running for public office, it becomes a popularity contest at some point.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So Republican Attorney General Daniel Cameron testifies Monday that one of the things they're going to excuse me, I had a call. Excuse me, was that they were saying that he was not qualified to be, had that top job, Attorney General. So here we go. Republican Attorney General candidate Daniel Cameron testified Monday that working as a law clerk for a federal judge fulfills the constitutional requirements to run for Kentucky's chief prosecutor. So he'd only been a law clerk. The GOP nominee who was running against Democrat Greg Stumble was peppered with questions for an hour and a half of legal career, which is at the center of lawsuit challenges Cameron's eligibility to be on the November ballot. The suit filed by Louisville resident Joseph Jackson alleges Cameron hasn't practiced law for 8 years and is required for attorney general candidates under this Constitution. This is fatal. Mm-hmm.
Listen, like I said, it becomes a popularity contest, and it becomes who can sell themselves to the voters the best. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure that the voters in Kentucky saw that he, what his qualifications was and how long the last time he practiced law, but they still elected him.
but here it is. But listen right here. Right here it says, this is Cameron. I practice law as a law clerk, advising the judge on legal matters, working on opinions and legal research as well. That's in the lawsuit. Both sides agree Cameron obtained his law license in 2011, but the plaintiff's attorney said he did not actually begin practicing law until 2013 when he ended his federal clerkship. And what he's saying, go down to further read, is that the term practicing is generic.
Right.
So him helping and giving legal advice, he's argued, and I guess he won since he's attorney general, is okay under a practicing attorney. But if that's all you've done, why would you be the attorney general? How did you get the job of attorney general if all you've done?
He was elected.
I understand it, but I'm saying, is he qualified?
Then you have to blame the people. Do I think he's qualified? You have to blame the people. You have to blame the residents of Kentucky.
Would you think that now we got to blame the people they voted for him? If it was a fair election and nobody contested election, that's what they voted for. Then that's what you get. That's one of the things about elections. They do have consequences.
Elections have consequences.
They have consequences.
Yes, sir.
So you guys sat around and you voted this guy in with only basically law clerk experience as the attorney general of your state.
Well, let's be fair. Let's be fair though. Because there hasn't, until we get the information, until there's more investigating of the investigators and everything else, we can't say that he did anything wrong. Because we don't know. We don't know what was presented. That's what I'm saying. We don't know what was presented to the grand jury.
Yeah.
We know what it looks like.
Okay.
We speculate as to how. That's why I said I think how it looks is that he was actually, he was actually forced to go to Blue Lives Matter route. That's what I think. That's just
if he's forced to do anything, okay. Again, but if he's forced to do anything besides bring justice for the state of Kentucky, then as we talked offline, I think, with any situation, he needs to be charged with whatever the person's crime was that he did.
Yeah.
You bear false witness. You put somebody in jail. You allow somebody. These women allow men getting raped. Raping them, and police officers planting drugs on people. Whatever it is, if you frame somebody and you caught, your crime, your punishment should be what they would have gotten.
Yes, I agree with that.
What he's doing, if he's kowtowed to somebody that's trying to put the pressure on, which if your theory is correct, then he needs to get it, and so do the people that put the pressure on him. Because the bottom line is, Breonna Taylor needs justice. And or the police officers, everybody needs justice. If they did what was right, and it's unfortunate that she died and that they didn't do anything wrong, but it's one of those situations that slipped through the cracks, then we have to say that, admit that, and seal those cracks up so Breonna Taylor be the last one. If there's a cover they did wrong, those police officers need to be punished to the extent that the law would allow.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Because if like I said, the family has asked the governor to open up to appoint a special prosecutor. So you never know. I mean, either. I don't blame him either. I think there's far too many improprieties. There's far too many questions still unanswered for it to just go away the way it did. So I ain't mad at the family at all. So we'll see whether or not he actually says yes and actually does that. If not, then all you have to really go off of is to look at the transcripts and say, okay, well, this looks questionable, that looks questionable, but there's nothing you're going to be able to do about it anyway.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. This attorney general, he the reason why some of the members of the grand jury requesting that the transcripts be released is because, of course, they said they gave the only judgment that was presented to them, and other attorneys are saying he should have presented different ones if he had done his due diligence. So he basically tied the hands of the grand jury members to get the verdict that he wanted, which was the one that he got, and then came back and act like he did nothing to it, had nothing to do with it, like he did his due diligence, like he did provide these other options for them, which is what he should have according to other attorneys. But that's not what he did. So it seems like it was a setup from the get-go. So now when people look at him, it's a big stick of corruption. You have you really don't have experience, or you shouldn't have been attorney general from what I've seen. And then you pull this kind of stuff. But what gets me is, if this is correct, who convinced him that he would be able to get away with not giving a jury what they should give him, what he should have given them, so they could have a different finding? Well, who told him he would get away with it? He wouldn't get any pushback from any of the attorneys, any of the family members, anybody else is looking at this as a high profile case. So he should have been by the book. How could somebody convince him to do the wrong thing and say, we're going to protect your career? Because your career is over.
But then it becomes a question of prosecutorial discretion and whether or not, because of the position that he has as the Attorney General, what is he allowed to charge and how much latitude he has in the charges that he brings or doesn't bring. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's gonna ruin him if it comes out that there was a lot more improprieties than what we actually believe there is. Yeah, it's gonna ruin him. It's gonna ruin his career. It's gonna ruin his life. But more importantly, I don't really care about none of that. I just looking for justice for the families and making sure that stupid stuff like this doesn't happen again. Which is why I hope that which I don't think it will, but I hope that whenever this bill gets on the Senate for no-knock warrants, that it's actually passed 100 to none, or at least passed at all to ban it across the United States.
Right.
Because I'm going to say what happens. It was they executed a no-knock warrant. They say whatever they want to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Ain't no narcotics cops coming to no house with no no-knock warrant and not executing a no-knock warrant. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
I got you.
So,
well, speaking of executing and death, we got COVID-19 running around the White House.
Yo,
right?
We should have jumped right on that right after we got after the presidential debate.
Yeah, but we did. But we just had to bounce around. I apologize for getting out of order. But we're going back to the White House then. And then we're gonna talk to the White House real quick. Then we're gonna talk with the VP, and then we good.
So they had everybody and their mama
got COVID now.
Got COVID.
It's the October surprise, right?
The West Wing. And
October surprise.
The same thing. I was like, yo, this is an October surprise right here. Mm-hmm. Everybody and their mama got COVID.
People that ain't even been in the White House got COVID.
Kelly Van Cowboy don't even work there no more.
She got COVID. They sent it to her in an email. Here's a virus for you, right? Like, are you serious?
Rona McDaniels, the RNC chairperson, she don't work in the White House.
You got Rona though. You got the Rona.
Listen, it's been this weekend was crazy, but I don't like how there was a lot of stupid people out there wishing death on the president, wishing death on Melania.
Yeah, that's not what you do.
That's just these are your thought leader blue checkmark folks on social media. These are the stupidest people. Yes, that's not how you behave. Whether or not you like the individual or not, you show some class. Show some class. And if you and what your parents always teach you when you're young, if you ain't got nothing nice to say,
don't say nothing at all.
Don't say nothing at all. And there was a lot of people. There was a lot of people on Friday. There was a lot of blue check marks posting on Friday when the news first broke. Don't get fired. Posted something stupid.
Wow.
Don't get fired. Posted, and that's really what it's become, because people can't help themselves. They can't help themselves in today's climate. But it started with Hope Hicks, I believe, didn't it? She's the communications director, and I think she was the first one to catch the Rona, and then from there, it's spread like wildfire. Protocol was broken big time. I think that's whoever was the leaker, the leaker, whoever was the anonymous source,
another one.
They broke protocol big time. But there's also a report out there too that last week 3 White House reporters tested positive for corona. You don't hear nothing about it. You don't know who they was in contact with, who at the White House they was in contact with, who they talked to, who they, said hi to, who they briefed on. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they could be the source. You're a White House reporter. You're going to talk to the White House communication director. Pass it to her. She passes it on to, McElhinney. McElhinney passes it on to everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's in all these meetings. Keighley McElhinney, the press secretary, she's in all these meetings. So telling where it came from. I'm glad he's doing good. Him and his wife, he actually back home in the White House. So, glad that they're doing good and glad that they feeling better. But we had a lot of stupid people talking about the 25th Amendment and who's going to be in charge and what. It's like, man, y'all just.
Yeah. But I mean, he admitted he got the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And which, of course, we know attacks the elderly worse than young, healthy people. I mean,
he ain't normal elderly, though.
Excuse me?
So he ain't normal elderly.
Okay.
He don't smoke. He don't drink. He don't have any no comorbidities.
Okay.
No diabetes, no heart problems, no respiratory problems. So he ain't your average 74, 75-year-old. Got to give him that.
I give him that then. But he's old. His immune system is not as strong as a 40-year-old, young and spry.
True that.
But
like me.
With that, I'm not gonna go that far with it. But but it does beg the question, and this does open up. It's a great time to talk about one reason why I guess this Trump being the president and even Obama being president. I get a lot more people interested in what's going to presidency, but we understand if this coronavirus took the wrong turn. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump was not able to perform his duties, then, of course, the vice president would be sworn in as the president of the United States. So that would be Pence. And that's why it's very important that we make sure that it's just not the president that we're dealing with, but we have to look at his decisions of who's going to take his place if something happens.
Right.
I talked about this with Obama and Biden, and Obama said that Obama said that Biden wasn't good enough to be president, but he made him the vice president. So if something had happened to Obama, then Obama put the person in who he said we don't need to be president would be president, which makes no sense. So Trump has always been behind Biden and spoken highly of him.
Pence.
Yeah, Pence. Yeah. So I feel that if something happened to Trump, at least we would be getting somebody that Trump believed in.
Right.
I'm not saying he's good or bad, or he's a good person or a bad person, but we understand that there is a legal setting, a legal precedent set. The Constitution allows for a series of events that if it happens, this is what we do because the country is a leader. It's the president, there's the vice president, there's the Speaker of the House.
Right.
So if something was to happen to both of them, then whoever Speaker of the House right now is Nancy Pelosi, then she would be sworn in as a president. So to talk about this coronavirus, and we do know it does kill people. It kills elderly people at a higher rate and sick people at a higher rate. So the thought that Pence might become president, I mean, that's something that we do have to take into consideration.
Listen, I agree with you what you're saying. I think it's something that you take into consideration, but it's like 6:05, my man got corona. 6:25, y'all trying to get him out there to get Mike Pence in there.
Well, people hope he dies, so somebody hopes it happens.
Relax, take a deep breath. The man just said he was having symptoms,
mild symptoms.
5 minutes ago. You're already typing up, 200, 300 page word articles on,
But that pushes Joe Biden. That pushes Joe Biden. Trump's not healthy. Trump's going to die. If Trump kicks the bucket, then of course it won't be nobody to run for him because you're not going to have Pence to get on debates. Pence is not ready to debate on that type of level. So it'd be like Joe Biden. No, do you think Pence is ready to answer questions about election time?
Absolutely. Because if something so we know that if something happens to the president, the vice president takes over. So now the second question becomes what happens with the election?
Yeah.
Pence doesn't just automatically become the Republican nominee.
I know.
The convention has to
get together and do the voting.
At the convention, hey, they may say, "Hey, you know, we're gonna go with Jeb Bush."
Wow.
we finally got rid of this bastard. We go with Jeb Bush.
Hey, Jesse Jackson said, "Stay out the bushes."
But yeah, no. So that's what happened. So, but Pence is ready to take over at any time, and I mean, my man was a senator. He ready to rock. He ready to rock. He's ready to handle the reins at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And which is surprising. And I say that surprisingly because you don't ever hear about him possibly running for office afterwards. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know it's still early, but you've already heard the Nikki Haley talks, the Kristi Noem talks, the Senator Scott talks, you know, some of the other people who ran in 2020, of course, you know, ran in 2016, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz. You've heard those names pop up already for potential run in 2024, but everyone seems to overlook Mike Pence. And I think they make a mistake doing that.
Yeah, but they see the vice president, of course, as the one that's going to come in. He's coming off the bench. But you know, even if like when Jordan retired, or when he left the game, they didn't say we just going to move up the bench players one. We're going to look for somebody to take Jordan's place. Pretty much the bench players are really bench players and are made to come off the bench. They're looking for another starter. You're not looking for the bench player to move him up just because the starter's gone. The bench player hasn't played well enough to not be a bench player. So
you don't think
I don't think we know enough of him to see him do anything. He's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Vice presidents pretty much have a quiet role.
Right, but his record before that was of being in the Senate.
Okay.
He
knows anything about him. But he's no rookie. But tell me something about him.
He wasn't just pulled out of a lump of coal.
Tell me something about him.
He got some sense about him. And
tell me something about him. Give me some bills. Give me something he sponsored. Think about it. You got 30 days based into the election for 30 days or so. Yeah, about 30 days to the election now.
We just said that though. He's not going to be there's no guarantee he'll be the.
But I'm just saying if they wanted to do it, I'm saying what would he do? Right now, again, the VP, he's a bench player. So they're looking for somebody to come off. They was, I think you were right. They would be going towards a Rubio or somebody else that's got some clout in the Republican Party. But again, they had to do the convention. All those other things they had to get done in 30 days. And I'm thinking there's not enough time to really get something. I think it'd be a whole lot of infighting in the Republican Party about who they want. And all the while that fight is going on, Biden just sit back, go back to his cave and sit back and let folk fight. And he'll just step out on that Super Tuesday and get all the votes and he'll be sworn in.
Because all the never Trumpers. Yeah, all the never Trumpers and all the individuals, the Lincoln Project, they would all try to run back to the party now. Oh, we miss you guys, and let's hug it out. No,
you have President Joe Biden in office.
You have President Joe Biden in office.
That's what it would be.
But so with all this Rona going on, I think if Pence had to step up, even if he had to, give over, the president was ill and he had to give up being the president because he was incapable of doing the job, even if it was for a week. I think Mike Pence is quite capable of handling roles as the president.
Okay. I'll roll with you then. We'll go with that. But right now, the president has Rona. His symptoms, what they last reported, are mild, but they're not giving a whole lot of information about it.
Back at home now.
They keep screaming the HIPAA Act, the HIPAA reasons for not telling what's going on with his lungs and other parts of him, what's really going on with him. So
you go.
But of course, he's the president. They got pictures of him. They're taking a day where he's going to work. I was just looking at, I forgot what it was, looking at before we did the show. And they were showing him the capture. They're showing him the video of him look like he's signing bills and all that. But they showed a close up on the paper, and the paper was blank. And so he was faking like he was actually doing some work. But that wouldn't be the first time they do the photo ops. They do it often like that. But so we really don't know what's going on with him because they're going to
we do.
Really? They have released it. They won't tell us. The doctors won't tell us everything.
The doctor says he's fine. He says he's got some mild symptoms. We're still monitoring him. What are they supposed to tell you?
The specific questions they say they can't release because of HIPAA.
They sure the hell can't.
Just they could if they wanted to.
Your doctor can't release somebody come asking for you.
Not the same.
It is the same. It is.
Because the president.
Just like when you become the president, you don't lose your First Amendment rights. You don't lose your Second Amendment rights.
Yes,
you don't lose your right to privacy either.
You lose certain rights. You do lose certain rights because you're the president. When you're the president, you don't have no privacy. Everybody, they know where you are 24/7.
But that's not the same as knowing where you are. Isn't the same as knowing your medical records. That's not the same.
Yeah, but
thing.
I'm just saying, it's when you take this position as president, you give up certain things because now you belong to the people.
Of course you do. But that's not what I'm talking about.
But don't the people need to know your health when people running for office? Don't they want to know, like when Biden running for office? You said yourself Biden kind of lose it. That's what you said, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, would you like if Biden was would you want Biden to have a medical checkup?
He should have one.
Why?
But if both of them should have medical checkups.
Okay. Why?
To make sure that they're mentally fit, make sure that they're physically fit, that their body can handle.
That has to be. Then somebody's got to release that information.
No, when their doctor says we have conducted the physical fitness test, we have conducted the mental acuity test, everything checks out normal, blood pressure, and if the patient says yes, you can release some of this information. Yes, the blood pressure was a little bit high. We're monitoring, blah 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 blah. Everything else is fine. What happened to trust the doctors? We can't trust his doctors. His doctor said he's doing fine. He's got some symptoms. We're still monitoring him. That should be good. That should be good.
If you say so.
It should. Why? But why should that? Why is that not more than what you should get as a citizen? You don't need his. Was it systolic and diastolic? I don't think you need to know that.
I think we need to make sure.
You know the medicine that he was taking.
I think we need to make sure everything is everything. That's all.
But the doctor just told you that.
Did he? I think
So
the doctor spoke in generic terms.
Shana said that it's not HIPAA. No, that's HIPAA. That's HIPAA. You go to a doctor, and like I do this, like when I in my side hustle, when I call my job, I call it my side hustle.
Uh-huh.
When I'm doing my side hustle, I have to have a release of information form signed by the individual saying that I can get any information concerning them from the hospital. Any information. Okay. Any information. So without just having that, just because some reporter says, what happened? What was this? What was that? That doesn't mean that the doctors have to give that to them. That's not a law. That's against the law. You can't just give you that information just because you asked for it.
Okay.
Now, if I'm wrong, Mr. Shiner, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's happened once in my lifetime, but
once in your lifetime.
I've been wrong before. I ain't afraid to say I'm wrong. Correct me.
You ought to be used to it. Don't be afraid to say you're wrong. You should be used to it. Shana says HIPAA is what keeps all his medical information disclosed.
It keeps his medical information from being disclosed.
Okay.
From being disclosed. That's what the law says. His medical information can't be disclosed because of the law. Not just because you think you think you have a need to know. Especially when his doctors are saying, hey, everything's cool. Yeah, you got some, you having some dizziness or whatever. Or he's having, he's doing good. We're still monitoring him. He's still taking medications. His breathing is good. Everything is looking fine. He's going home to get some rest. That should be enough for the American people. That should be enough for the country. You don't need to beat it to death. Oh, they're lying to us. He's probably going to die tomorrow. They're lying to us. The doctors can't be trusted. Now we can't trust doctors. Wow. Not too long ago, y'all was telling us that we had to trust the doctors and people in the medical profession. Now we can't trust the president's doctors, but it's just the doctors that you want us to trust. That's what it is.
Okay. All right. That's the argument we can have. I'm just saying we need to be sure, but as long as he can keep his duties. And the question is, can we trust him if it got too bad, or his people around him to give up his responsibilities and transfer those powers over to the VP?
That I don't know. I think that he would. I think
he's got too much ego.
I think that he would, if he came to a position where he was going to be, I guess, rehospitalized and put on a ventilator, where he's, like a lot of the other sick people had to go on ventilators. There's nothing you can do. I think if it had to get to that point where the doctor's like, we have to put you on a ventilator, I think that he would turn over the powers, as per the Constitution, to Mike Pence.
I think he's too cocky to let that happen. I think he'd be like, I got it. I'm just gonna take me a little nap. I'll be back real quick.
Let me give me some vitamin C and some.
Right, give me a shot. I'm good. So that's that. But as I said, we pray for the president, and God says pray for everybody. Pray for people that's putting authority
Absolutely.
over you, if you like them or you don't like them. So pray for them. If you don't like them, you think some people think he's anti this, anti that, and people say he's a demon. All kind of stuff. You're supposed to pray for him that he'll hear God, he'll listen to God, he'll get that wisdom, he'll change his ways and do better.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, he's still the president, and his decisions still weigh to the effect of where they affect all of us and affect a lot of people in the world.
And
so don't sit there and just wish hate and wish the downfall of somebody that's in authority over you. You ought to be praying that they see the light and do better by you.
Yes, sir.
So just being selfish on that aspect, if you don't like that person, pray that they see right so they can do right by you.
It ain't godly or Christian anyway.
Exactly. You're not that bright praying for your leadership's downfall. That's kind of dumb, actually.
That's ungodly and it's unchristian, and we have a lot of everyone.
But again, it's dumb because being selfish, you ought to pray for somebody to look out for you as opposed to they fall apart.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Last thing.
Last topic.
Tomorrow. What's happening tomorrow, Christian?
Oh, Wednesday.
That's what I said. Wednesday. Duh.
I said tomorrow. So Wednesday we have the vice presidential debate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost positive it's not going to go the same way as the presidential debate.
And how so?
Because Mike Pence ain't going to interrupt Kamala Harris like that. That's first and foremost.
She got black woman privileges.
No, not because she got black women privileges. Because that's just not Mike Pence's character.
Okay. All right.
That's not.
But do you think Trump would do Kamala like that?
Say what?
You think Trump would have done Kamala like he did Hillary?
Yeah, I think he did. I don't think he did like that.
No, I don't think he would have done Kamala like he did Hillary. I don't think so.
Yes, I think he did like that.
No, he would have lost it then.
Yeah, but I'm not anticipating Mike Pence and Kamala Harris debate actually going off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong, but I don't anticipate it because his personality, his demeanor is not going to allow him to talk over her or interrupt her rudely. He may interrupt her to that's wrong. But as far as nope, get out of it, you're wrong. Nope, it's not going to be like that. It's his personality is not like that. He is the Christian conservative. He's the epitome of the Christian conservative.
Wow.
So yes, he is. I mean, he really is when you think of Christian conservative, it's Mike Pence. And so and on the Kamala Harris side, I don't think she would do that either. I don't think she would interrupt Mike Pence like that. I think it would be a mutual respecting between them.
That'd be a good thing.
It would be. So that's what I'm looking forward to, a good debate. I don't really too much care for vice presidential debates. You?
Yeah, not much.
Because it's not really your policy.
Yeah, you pushing the other person's agenda.
Exactly. But only thing I could say about the difference between Pence and Harris is Harris was actually running for president.
Yeah.
So Pence can actually challenge her on her positions. Hey, you gonna be pushing Joe to do this? Hey, you gonna be pushing Joe to do that? Hey, you gonna be pushing Joe to do that? We've already heard her say it, and we've heard Joe Biden say it.
Yeah, a Harris-Biden presidency.
Harris-Biden ticket.
Harris-Biden ticket, not a Biden-Harris. They both, yep. And
that's it. The Harris-Biden ticket. We've already heard her say it and Joe Biden say it. So
yeah,
you can really challenge her on stuff like that.
But do you think it matters? Do you think that whoever wins this vice presidency debate, you think that really is going to affect who someone's going to vote for president? Because I don't.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't think so. So this is just to me, just for show a little bit.
That's why they usually only have one of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to just make sure we keep the focus on who's actually running. Yeah. But I guess it's nice to have them say a couple words. And see who the vice president is.
Get them out to see who the people can still see who they are, and listen to them, and hear how they what they think about certain policies. Because they'll be asked. Pence will be asked about Biden's policy. I mean, Pence will be asked about policies that him and Trump have already accomplished. and are looking to accomplish. And Harris will be asked about some of the stuff that's on the the Joe Biden website, the stuff that they want to try to accomplish going forward. So, it's good to see if there's, I guess a lot of these are forward to see if there's any break in the candidates.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any disagreement in the candidates. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And see, this is the thing too. The Constitution breaks down. The only role that the Constitution says the vice president has is he presides over the Senate. If there's a tie, the vice president casts the deciding vote. That's it.
Yeah.
And again, other than that, he's waiting around to see if he ever calls an action.
Yeah.
But of course,
he travels the world and does diplomacy.
Yeah, I'm saying as time goes on, as time has progressed with the presidency and technology and understanding that you can use the vice president to go and push your agenda. You're in two different places. That means your agenda's getting pushed in two different, it's twice as fast. So he's used to push the president's agenda.
Right.
But he doesn't have his own agenda.
No.
And he doesn't, he doesn't get a whole lot of press because the first person you want to hear speak is the president.
Right.
You don't run around and put the vice president on camera saying what the president doing. He's a secondary guy. He's kind of a backup, a little fall guy, if you will. For information, but everything he's supposed to do is echo what the president is doing, reinforce what the president is saying. He's just in a different place. So,
and I like when Mr. Wilson asked the question. Mr. Joe Wilson said, "What is the benefit of a vice presidential debate?" I think the biggest benefit that I see is that it is an opportunity to hear the policies from a different voice. A different voice that'll be someone that will be affecting that policy or in charge of implementing the policy. So you get to hear Kamala Harris push the Joe Biden presidency, what a Joe Biden presidency would look like policy wise. Same thing with the vice president, which is one of their primary jobs is to work that Capitol Hill as well and get them votes. And get those senators to vote a certain way, get those Congress people to vote a certain way to help work those phones from the relationships that they have. So the vice president doesn't seem like a sexy job, but it's still an important job. And so I think to me that's the biggest benefit.
Okay, I can understand that. Now, so when's the debate going to be? It's going to be Wednesday
night at 9 p.m. And it's going to be happening. It's happening actually out in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
So
how come we don't have none here in Jacksonville? We can pull some.
What are you going to put it in Jacksonville?
We got bigger. Well, everything is Corona. You ain't got to have nothing big because.
Well, they always do that. They had governor debate here. They did the governor's debate where Jacksonville University. Was it?
JU. Yeah, JU.
You do a lot of debates at JU.
I'm talking about the United States government. I mean, United States president debates and vice president. We got JU here. We got University of North Florida here. Heck, they can shoot even over to Gainesville. That's huge. They got plenty of room for Gainesville.
Yeah, they could have. I don't know what the pitch is or the commission who puts the debates together. Was it the debate commission? I don't know what their criteria or what they're looking for. But it'd been a good. Jacksonville would have been a good spot.
Sure would have. So I need to think about that. But another benefit of being the vice president is your $243,500 a year salary. That's a nice little something for.
You get your own plane.
Yeah, travel the world.
You got your own house. But they live in the Naval Observatory.
Yeah, free residence
at the Naval Observatory. You got your own plane, Air Force 2.
Yeah,
that's a good gig, man. All you got to do is go back and what did the man say? What did the president say? All right, that's what I believe.
That's what I believe. And just as long as the president don't get hurt or anything, you just got you a nice, easy ride. Unless you got somebody it's hard to defend. But $243,500.
EWC. I mean, I don't know where you would have it at EWC.
No, EWC can't handle it, I don't think.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly don't want to have it in no gymnasium.
Right.
And the other, like the little chapel where they have debates and
we
have
nice, but
community discussions. It's not positioned. It's not set up. It's not set up right.
Yeah. So that's what I said. You have a UNF maybe, or again, Gainesville.
Or maybe a church. That's the only other place here in Jacksonville. One of the big churches, Shiloh downtown, or either Bethel.
Yep.
One of those churches you could probably have in a church like that.
That's crazy. But all right, that's that. So this, if you would please, ladies, and we got to wrap this up. Just please make sure you pay attention as always to what is going on in the world. Think critically and get involved. Think critically and get involved with everything that's going on around here. We need you to vote. We need you to vote. But again, I'm not the type. If you're not educated on the vote, I'm asking you not to go vote. Don't go vote just for the sake because you say to vote. I'm done with that. I'm at a different stage of understanding, I guess, to where we got to run out and see all these rock the vote, rap the vote like we used to have back in the day. But get out to vote this, vote, register people to vote, especially grown folk. You 45 years old, you ain't never voted before. I'm not trying to tell you to go vote, and you should have the plan yourself to register and go vote. If not on you, I'm not doing it because I don't think you're gonna make an educated decision.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna go vote for whoever done talk to you and gassed you up to do something. So I don't like that. I need everybody to take personal responsibility to study the facts and then go out and make an educated decision, whatever it is. Just make an educated decision.
Absolutely.
So I need folk to do that. Again, the debates are 2 days from now. We'll have the vice presidential debates. We're trying to see if we're going to have the presidential debates because one of the things that they might not have another presidential debate because of how bad it was, at least not the same format. We got a town hall coming up in the next week or two. Going to have a town hall format, but and that's a little different from going back and forth. They're going to be taking questions from people, so that'll should cut out on the interruptions and crap that was going on.
Yes,
but again, this debate shows. I'm sorry.
With the Rona, who knows though?
Yeah.
Way to break out happened in the White House. Who knows?
Yeah, you can do it virtually. You can sit.
That's
you can
what
sit
October 15th.
and take his calls.
That's supposed to be October 15th.
Yeah, so he should be over it. Hopefully, we'll see. But again, the debate showed what a terrible position our country is in when we have our leadership acting like this. They know good well that not just America's watching, but the whole world's watching them. And this is the best we can produce. So I'm really disappointed in both the parties. Right. I'm really disappointed in the example that we're setting for our kids and how to debate. That's not how we teach our kids to debate. That's not how we teach our kids to solve problems. So we're looking at the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, and this is how he's acting. That's not what we should be doing. But again, that's who he is, but we got to take a look at policy as well. So it's hard to argue a point for Trump when it comes to his behavior. It's hard to argue a point when it comes to Biden. It's a lot easier when you look at policies. So
yes, sir.
Figure out what you think our country should or shouldn't do and how it should get done, and then take a look at what Joe Biden stands for, take a look at what Donald Trump stands for, and make your educated decision. Educated decision. We talked a little bit about Breonna Taylor and the situation going on with her. We hope that the justice will be served soon. We know that Attorney General is
we ain't talking about. There's another black dude that got shot. We didn't even get a chance to talk about him.
Yeah, it's a lot. We got a lot we could have talked about. But
he was pro-Trump and pro-police black guy, killed by a cop.
Yeah, they don't discriminate. Awful. They don't discriminate. So. Just another situation that we could talk about. It happens more often than we realize. Just that the media just picks up on certain ones. I guess they think it'll get the most reads, the most clicks. Put up their clickbait, they call it nowadays. But whatever gets the most reads, and that's what they roll with.
And wherever the chaos, they can push the chaos too.
Exactly. How soon can Soros get his protesters there?
Yes, sir. How soon we can get their protesters there to
load those buses up.
Toss some more gasoline on that fire.
Yeah, we give you the bricks. We'll load some bricks up for you to throw. Yep. We'll give you some masks. We'll give you some things to say, some couple chants to do. I need you to get on out there. Of course, we'll pay you cash on the spot once you get done tearing stuff up. And of course, all the stuff you can keep and loot is yours.
People are ridiculous.
It's absolutely, but I ain't lied on no parts of what I just said.
No, sir. No, you did not.
That's the messed up thing about it. All right, anything else that we need to talk about? You'll like us on the Facebook, like us on our YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter, and everything else in between. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask us, and we'll be more than happy to respond. If you got any controversy, if you don't like something we said or disagree, we definitely want you to come on board and show us the error of our ways. We welcome some conflicting points of view.
Absolutely.
It makes the conversation better and it keeps our iron sharp, keeps everything sharp.
Like I said, I ain't wrong often, but it occurred. It occurred once.
All right. There you go. All right. Well, thank you again for tuning in. It's Black Code Red, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a good night.
Peace.